Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just gonna say.
No, you're gonna have to say something because we're all live. So you can begin by saying in the name of Allah and Assalamu alaikum.
Well, greetings and yes, assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to Thursday Night Talks. It's we just having some fun.
Right.
All these little things happen and y'all just don't see behind the scenes, but either way, we want to thank you for coming and welcoming in yourselves right now, and hopefully you're bringing a friend and to like and share, all those wonderful things that we tell you to do every Thursday. This is no surprise. We just reminding you to come on in and join us because we got a good topic this evening, by the way, family. So please like and share. And I am going to be your moderator for this evening, Sister Michelle. And this is, again, a topic that you really don't want to miss. Considering all the things that are going on, family, you don't want to miss this episode because this really may be something that could save your life or the lives of those in you, in your lives or around you or in your community. So welcome in again, Thursday Night Talks. We greet everyone. Good evening and assalamu alaikum. And just thank you for again, just for showing up. But I don't want to belabor the message, but before I do anything, I have to say that we do have a special guest this evening. And she is very versed in what she's about to discuss this evening. I won't give her name away right now. Just saying, I won't give her name.
I think they know.
Well, if they on a page, they
right, exactly.
Saying because they may not be doing a stroll down the Seventh Coalition page. You know what I mean? But
or this.
Yes. Well, right. There you go. like, share. Either way. Again, we thank you, and I won't belabor the message, but sister, about to call you the name, but I wasn't. I was
right.
Sister Kalila, I'm going to give you the baton, but again, I just want to thank our audience for coming in. Please like, share. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. And again, just thanking everybody, thanking the crew that we have here this evening. We're missing Brother Lau, but hopefully he will be back on next Thursday. Inshallah. Anyway, I pass the baton over to you, Sister Kalila. Take it away.
Yes. So also starting off in the most holy name of Allah, always bearing witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet My brothers and sisters, in a greeting words of peace in the Arabic language of Islam alaikum, and it just simply means peace be unto you, to my Christian brothers and sisters. Moving forward, me and a sister at the Maz, she was asking, hey, who's going to be on the show today? And I told her, the beautiful sister, and she's going to be touching base in regards to, vehicle disaster preparedness. So the question mark came up: vehicle disaster preparedness. So she said, it might. You remember that movie Enough? I was like, yeah, you talking about the one with Jennifer Lopez in it, right? She was like, yeah. She was like, you remember the time, that part when she did her thing and then she had another vehicle that she had, and it had everything in it that she
Wait a
needed.
minute, you're giving away too much. You're giving away too much.
Okay. Okay. Go to the go to the movie. It's called Enough with Jennifer Lopez in it. But I said, oh, look, it gave me some understanding of, okay, I'm always a student, right? But I'm going to continue to be a student in regards to this because I am so eager to learn. I have already my pen, my paper, and I'm ready to be forthgoing in regards to what we need to know in regards to making sure that we are prepared, not only ourselves, but our family. But I don't want to belabor the point. Like Sister Michelle say, I am going to pass the baton to my dear brother. The floor is yours, Brother Tony.
You almost forgot my name.
No, I didn't.
It's all right. No, it's all right. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God, to whom holy praises are forever due, the Lord of the world, who came in the person of Master Father Muhammad, I am forever thankful to Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I thank them both for the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives Thursday Night Talks. As this program and the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives was formed soon after the criterion message of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on July 4th, 2020, as we were specifically put together and designed to warn our people and expose the truth and reality of an experimental inoculation. And in regards to how we can get our people safe in the midst of a pandemic. But we are dealing with a lot more than just a pandemic that is causing harm to our bodies in the way of a virus. We are warding our people away from misinformation, a pandemic of misinformation, a pandemic of white supremacy, a pandemic of danger. Tonight, we hope with our beloved sister and guest, tonight we hope to get us more prepared in dealing with what we are dealing with in this world right now. I'd like to thank our beloved student regional minister, Student Minister Patrick Muhammad, here in the 7th Region for putting us together and to help our people become more safe. Hour, as it is getting darker in this hour, beloved family. Tonight, we want to focus on 3 ministries. And if we could pull up the those ministries right now.
Yes.
So that we can, because the way that we're focusing these programs is highlighting the 9 ministries given to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan soon after, or really not soon after, but in the midst of the 2005 Millions More movement. And so we are still highlighting these ministries. And so we're highlighting, first and foremost, the Ministry of Information. The mission of the Ministry of Information is to oversee and develop the literature of the Nation of Islam to better inform the public and membership of the history, policies, teachings, and programs of the Nation of Islam, to collect, disseminate, collect and disseminate information via newspapers, radio, television, internet, magazines, and all other sources, to develop information systems and networks for secure internal and external communications, to initiate media program development and management, to publish books, pamphlets, and magazines, and set up an office of media affairs and press secretary. And with this information that we are gathering tonight, we as a Nation of Islam have put forth a lot of material through the Final Call newspaper and through other mediums, to members of the Nation of Islam, to help get us safe in this hour. We're also focusing on the Ministry of Health and Human Services, which is responsible for the health and well-being of the members of the Nation of Islam, registered and non-registered alike, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as individuals, families, and communities. Health is defined as the state of being of the individual and his family, and community, that is the fulfillment of the ultimate perfection, that is the intention of the Creator. And so one very important component of health is that, while we may be presently healthy, in a drastic situation, we have to make sure that we maintain our health. And so we're also focusing here on the Ministry of Science and Technology, as much of the things that we store in our homes, and in this particular case, as we're going to be discussing vehicle disaster preparedness. What can we store in our vehicles to get us safe? And part of it is science and technology oriented. The Ministry of Science and Technology is the continuous development of technological resources, the application of scientific knowledge to the solution of human problems. This ministry embraces the broad discipline of engineering and its sub-disciplines, including civil engineering, the design and construction of public and private works, such as airports, roads, railways, water supply, and treatment, bridges, dams, and buildings, also chemical and electrical, aeronautical, and mechanical engineering. This ministry will also utilize information technologies to improve overall efficiency of all ministries, including the use of websites and webcasts. The division will work closely with the Ministry of Information to develop standard IT protocols and operating procedures, and encourage technological education and training. So with that, we look forward to having a wealth of a discussion here tonight, focusing on these ministries and how we can guide our people to safety in this hour. And so, Sister Michelle, I hand it over to you.
Absolutely. So let's talk about our special guest tonight. Her name is Sister Taquella Muhammad, and she is a disaster preparedness advocate and community volunteer responder for Atlanta, Tennessee, and the surrounding areas. Her job is to help facilitate and teach the fundamentals of disaster preparedness. She also assists the community in stocking and storing survival items while offering an e-commerce shop where she can sell some of her survival items at a very low cost. I wouldn't say very low, but low cost. She's got to make money. She is CERT, which stands for Community Emergency. She's a part of CERT, is what it is. The acronym is Community Emergency Response Team, certified. And she's currently taking FEMA, and the acronym for that is Federal Emergency Management Agency classes to obtain an emergency management degree and or certificate. During her workshops, and she does workshops on survival, and I'll give you her website and information at the end. But she conducts workshops, and in her workshop she covers real basic principles on preparing emergency kits for your home, what you should have in your home, products that you can go and grab, and so it just makes it a little easier. With hyperinflation right now, it's going to be real important that you stock up early.
Mhm.
Being able to evacuate in a short period of time, this is very critical. So as she goes through and she gives her workshops, her students must always take away something on how to be prepared and how to stay prepared. So in cases of emergency, of course, we know that there's no guarantees, and Sister Tequila will talk about that. That anyone will be able to rescue or aid anyone else during an evacuation time. So she's going to go over some of her items, how she prepares. We'll talk about some things else about the disaster preparedness process. She'll have a checklist, or be able to give us a checklist, or tell you where you can get one, so that you can start to begin stocking. So either way, let's bring Sister Tequila Muhammad on.
Did us,
Here we
sister.
go. Praise be to Allah. Sister, oh, there she goes. She's okay. There you go. Praise be to Allah. Absolutely. So, Sister Tequila, your sound is a little bit low. If we can maybe get you to maybe just.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? That's beautiful. Perfect. So before you get started, Sister Tequila, because I definitely want you to start giving us just kind of a quick overview, just just about you and your family and some things, and then we have some questions for you. But I have to tell the audience that this topic is usually the last thing we think about until a disaster happens.
My God.
It's always when all heck has broken out and we don't know what to do, or we don't got money, or we don't have what we need. And then these conversations, this type of person who dedicates her time and efforts to try to help us be prepared so that we can survive these things, somehow it gets thrown to the side. So if anybody who's watching right now, take some time and get people to come and listen in on this conversation, because I believe Sister Tequila has a lot to offer us, because these things should not be taken lightly. It's horrible to hear when we hear on the news many people losing their lives for really no reason.
Right.
It's really no reason, right?
Situations that could have been avoided.
It could have, things could be avoided. So as Sister Tequila goes in, I just really wanted to give her an overview, of course, of her family, just who she is, so just the audience can get a sense of who she is, and then we'll get into those questions. But I had to say that because usually these topics, I promise you, it's always when something really horrible happens, is when we're willing to listen and then prepare. But then at that moment, it's usually
too late.
Anyway, Sister Tequila, take it away.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. First of all, I want to say in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all in the greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, ma'am.
And thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to be on the show. I'm so honored. Praise be to Allah. So, yes, ma'am. When it comes to disaster preparedness, just to kind of give you a synopsis of myself and how I began. It started really from my mom as a child, growing up in the Nation of Islam. My mom, had us reading Fall of America, Theology of Time by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then all these books. But when you're a child, they are scary. And so, but she would prepare us and, just prepare for the fall. And it wasn't around till like the year 2000, 1999, 2000. They were saying that the world was about to end and all the lights was going to go out as soon as it hit 2000.
Y2K.
Even though we didn't really believe in that, we still wanted to be prepared. So my mom had everything, and she had 4 children. I'm the oldest of 4. And so she made sure we had everything we needed. And I felt a sense of security as a child, knowing that if something did happen, that we would be okay. So I kind of took on that same perspective. And so I've always been passionate about it for some reason, making sure that I have what I need for my family and children. So I'm actually a mother of 7. And
Praises be
yes,
to Allah. Don't even look like it.
I know.
well, yes, my oldest will
How
be
to eat to
7.
live, but that's another
Yes,
conversation.
ma'am.
Go ahead.
Yes, so I wanted to have that same sentiment as far as my children being prepared and having that sense of security, especially in this world where inflation is happening. You know, before we speak, you go in the store today, it is $5 tomorrow, maybe $7. Everything's unexpected, and so I started to do workshops and just to get our people prepared because I realized after Hurricane Katrina that our people were the least prepared. If you go and study it, we suffered the worst of everyone when it came to that hurricane. And so I was like, maybe we just don't know, and we don't. You know, we always make excuses. We don't have the funds, we don't have the ability, we don't know what to do, how to do it. Half of us are afraid of fire, you know, we're afraid of gas stoves and just different things that, you know, we just lack of knowledge. So I started to do workshops. They were free workshops just to get our people on accord. And I realized the thirst of our people, like they really desired to know how I can prepare my family and how I can get the things I need to make sure that I am prepared. And so I started having these workshops and I started bringing items with me to show everybody. And they started wanting to purchase those items. And so I would have like a little table and booth in the back and I would have things and it would just sell out every time I would bring things. So I decided, okay, this is necessary. And maybe this is something that Allah put on me to do. So fast forward to 2022, I'm out here still teaching and helping, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, helping our communities. I'm in Atlanta right now. I've also been in Memphis doing the workshops, just trying to help our society to prepare and to make sure that, you know, we do have the things we need to be able to get through any disaster that may happen.
Praises be to Allah. Praises be to Allah. So let's get into it. What does vehicle disaster preparedness means? Because like I said, you see, I don't look at a movie and I'll be like, aha. But I could be dead off, right? But can you explain to us what vehicle disaster preparedness means?
Yes, ma'am. I think you're right on it. But praise be to Allah. So vehicle disaster preparedness is basically you making sure that your vehicle is prepared in the case that you may have to leave or evacuate at any moment. Earlier this year, January 4th of 2022, it was in Virginia, and I think it was I-95. They were stranded on the highway for a day, 17 hours, 18 hours. And most of those people, there was nothing, there was no medical emergencies, but a lot of them were very uncomfortable, very stressed out. A lot of people did not have what they needed to have in their car. And a lot of times you don't even think of what you need until you're in that situation. And so, you know, I've always been big on that with having children, knowing that if we have to travel out of the state, I've always wanted to make sure I had everything I needed in my car in case we didn't make it to a hotel, in case we had to be in a car, in case we weren't able to get home in time. And so it's just making sure you have what you need. You have some food, you have water, you have tools, you have things that you can change a tire. You have like the jumper cables. Like you'd be surprised if people don't even have the basics in their vehicle. Some people don't even have toilet paper, tissue to even blow your nose. So it's just getting the things that you wouldn't necessarily think to have and have them secured in a place inside of your vehicle.
Okay.
I have a question. So, and this is a particular topic we chose. You chose vehicle disaster preparedness. What's the difference, right? And somebody says, "Well, yeah, I have a bag in there. Should I not prepare myself if I'm at home, or should I do both, or do I keep something in the house and something in the car, or is it just the vehicle, or like what what would you tell somebody? Like, is it both or one or the other?"
Yes, ma'am, Sister Michelle. That's a good question. Excellent question, actually. So when it comes to having your vehicle prepared, you actually want to do both. Because one of the things is you never know where you may be at when a disaster strikes. Of course, we all hope and pray that we're at home. It's the middle of the day. We don't have nothing to do. We're not at work. All our children are at home, and we just chilling when a disaster strikes. But that's not necessarily the case. It may be the one time where you're rushing, it's a lot going on, you're trying to handle a lot of errands, you didn't check the weather, or maybe you did check the weather and didn't think it would be that bad, and you're traveling and then a storm happens. And you may not be in the brink of the storm, but it could be, say, a traffic jam where you're just not able to move and you're stuck wherever you are, or an accident or some type of disaster where a tree is down and you have to stay where you are. Are you prepared? Because your bag is maybe at home, but you're not you're not at home. So you want to make sure that your vehicle has what you need in case, number one, you have to evacuate or you have to be stranded in your vehicle for long periods of time. So I always tell those who are striving to prepare themselves and their families to have your go bag at home, but also have items as well in your car, in your vehicle, prepared.
I have a question, Sister Tequila. Is there like a standard list that you have in regards to vehicle disaster preparedness? Like what should we keep? Mind you, we're not always going to be 100% prepared because we don't know what's going to be coming at us. But generally, what would be included in that type of list?
Yes, sir. So I don't have a standard list, but I have a list, and like I said, I could be a little extreme with it. So I have all different type of things, but the basics is what I tell everyone when it comes to disaster preparedness is the basics: food, clothing, and shelter. That's the first three things. Everything else is extra. Everything else is really to make you comfortable. But you definitely want to have, in water. Water, to me, I put it under the category of food. So you definitely want to have the water first and foremost, because you don't want to get dehydrated or have children in your vehicle asking you for water every 5 to 10 minutes. So you definitely want to make sure you have water. You definitely want to make sure you have food. You want to have something that is, you know, nutritious, but also something that has a little bit of sugar in it. As far as you may have a person that's diabetic in your vehicle, you may need some children that need a little energy or something like that. So you can make your own granola bars or have some like wheat crackers or things like that to have in your vehicle. And it helps with stress, and it helps, like I said, if you're in a car over a day. You definitely want to have some form of shelter, whether it's a tent, whether it's a tarp, whether it's a blanket or a just anything that you can use to be able to shelter and cover yourself, or even your window. You never know when you may have to just lay in the back seat of your car, and you want to have something to cover yourself. And clothing, I always say at least a comfortable pair of walking shoes, because you may be leaving the office and you have on some heels, and you may have to be stranded, and in order to get to the next destination, you may even have to get out your car and walk. And so the worst thing you want to do is either be barefoot or be trying to walk in some heels somewhere at a long distance. So you always want to make sure you have the basics. Now, everything else is extra in your vehicle. You want to have an emergency car kit that includes like the jumper cables and, flashing lights, little flashlights, batteries, a compass. You also want to have, what else? Let me get my list. Like the wool blankets to keep warm, especially in the winter time. It's absolutely necessary, especially when you have children. When you are stranded in a vehicle in the winter, trust me, it's almost like you're in a freezer. And so you definitely want to. And I can go on and on, but I just wanted to answer the question when it comes to
but that's because I want you to, because that's a part of the last part of it, because we definitely want people to actually take out pencil and paper to write down some of the main things, and then just work their way in regards to what they feel like is feasible for their particular situation, in regards, like you specified, diabetes, that's is something that grows in our Black community, cancer, things of that nature, that you may have to take a medication, and without that medication, it's your survival rate is very low to none without that. So just those alone. But let's talk about, as you are on this, and you brought up a beautiful thought. Why, as Black people, always wait? Can I say all black people? I ain't gonna say all black people.
Don't
Most
say
black people.
all
No, I'm gonna say
black.
most. I'm gonna say most.
Most. But there's reasons, but I digress.
Okay, but look, this is the expert because I want to get in her head.
Right,
Why
right.
do most people, let's say most people,
There you go.
wait to the last minute to be prepared, and why do they feel that it's not necessary to do so?
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Beautiful question as well. So, what I found is that the first thing is that we always think we have time. That's the first thing. We literally think that we have time. That's why we're taught, even in the Holy Quran, don't say, what is it? Don't say what you'll do tomorrow. Do it today.
Right.
Okay. I'm paraphrasing, but don't put off what you can do today tomorrow because you don't know what it's going to be tomorrow. And a lot of times we think, oh, it's no point in me going to the store right now. I'll go tomorrow. I bear witness of saying that and going to the store and whatever I wanted to get was gone. Or the price quadrupled or tripled the next day. You know, I'm like, okay, this was on sale for $4. Now it's $12. So if you put it in your mind, the more that you put it off, you're going to continue to put it off and continue to put it off as things come up. The second excuse has been, I can't afford it. I just can't. And I tell people all the time, you can't afford it if you're thinking that you have to have everything all at one time. That's the way that you can't afford it. But when you break it up and start with the basic necessities, start with the water first, start with the non-perishable foods, start with the first aid, and then get certain things that you need. And then every time you go out to the store, you grab something for your kid. It's not going to feel like a burden. And then all of a sudden you're going to get hyped like, yes, you know, my disaster preparedness kit is growing. You're going to start seeing things now. When you go out, your mind is going to be on survival all the time. So you're going to always be thinking, like, I may go to the store, I may be going to grab some fruit, but then I may see a pack of batteries that's on sale and I'm just going to get them if I have the money, you know, or I can forfeit something that I really want. Like if I wanted to get a candy bar, I'm gonna say, you know, I'm not going to get that. I'm going to get this flashlight instead. And so if you practice that, start getting the things you need, you don't have to worry about not being able to afford it. The other thing is just procrastination and laziness. A lot of us just don't want to prepare for it. We just don't. We rather somebody else do it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to think about it. We really wish that it can just go away. And that's not the reality. And the other one I would say is fear. A lot of times we kind of are so afraid that we do nothing. And, you know, or think that somebody else should do it for us, or we just don't believe that anything will happen to us that, you know, will cause us to need the necessities in regard to disaster preparedness.
I have a question for Sister Quayla. This is as a result of the workshops that you've conducted, do you have any success stories where someone took the advice that you were giving, they followed advice that you gave, went out and made purchases and prepared, and were experiencing a situation where because they were prepared, they were able to come out of it a lot better, as opposed to not preparing or not being prepared?
Yes, sir. Actually, two success stories. One would be my sister. I've been trying to prepare her and get her things together for a very long time. She's been very adamant. So she's not in the Nation of Islam, but she, you know, she's just always been opposed to getting things. You know, she was very strong in Christianity, and in her mind, she felt like, well, I don't have to worry about anything because Jesus is coming to save me from, you know, whatever happens. You know, I'm waiting for the rapture. That was her mindset. And so, but now that she started to see things happen, and I think she experienced a power outage and some other things in North and South Carolina, she had some of the things that she needed. When I kept, you know, encouraging her, she went out and bought things and she was able to get through that. And so now she has a whole different mindset. Like I think she starts shopping more than me now when it comes to disaster preparedness. She's calling me like, make sure you got, or this is on sale. Another believer as well, maybe 2 years ago, we had a storm and they brought a go bag from me. And they said that they were just so happy that they were able to get that go bag because they had everything they needed to get through that brief power outage. I think it was a 2-day power outage. They didn't have, you know, anything to worry about. And so I've gotten a couple of comments based off of certain things that I've mentioned and encouraged others to get, but I don't have all of them in front of me. But I definitely think that people are paying attention and making sure that not only they're getting the things they need, but they're also encouraging their family to do the same.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
What do you, my question is, what can you tell a person that is disabled, experiencing some physical challenges in regards to preparation? Because let's say hypothetically, you took that example of, you know, being stuck, but probably are not able to probably move the way they want to move physically, but they are stuck in their vehicle in a cold, um, you know, what encouragement would you prepare that person with being not being able to actually physically be prepared? Well, you can physically be prepared, but you have to mentally be prepared. But physically, you can tell that person, "Hey, do this, do that, do this." But what will be the methods and this, you know, and just the bullet points of how you prepare that a type of person with a physical deficiency?
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. So again, it depends on the different type of impairment that they're experiencing. But the first thing is, of course, having a plan written out of different things that you may need. So if they need certain medications, they have that already written out and put in their glove compartment. If they have extra medication, they have that in their glove compartment and they have it written out saying, okay, I need to take this medication twice a day for whatever the reason may be, just to make sure that even if they're, out of it or unconscious, somebody else is able to assist them, when it comes to that. Also, practicing drills, if you are stuck and stranded by yourself, able to have access to certain things. I know certain vehicles have a way where you can open up the inside and grab your things if you're not able to get out of your vehicle. But just having the things in reach, certain things in your glove compartment, maybe having a black bag. And I call them black bags when you have them in your car, but having a black bag with the things that you need, behind your seat, making sure that you're able to reach certain things, making sure you have your phone charger and a phone device or a solar powered battery device that can charge your phone so that you can call out for help if you need that. If you're not able to move, you have a way to, verbally communicate that through your phone as well. And again, just practicing that, if you have any impairments, getting in your vehicle and practicing certain disasters. Again, having the things that you really need close to you so that you don't have to rely on somebody else to get those things. So that would be my basics. Every person is different, so I will have to walk them through, different scenarios based on the typical impairment that they're experiencing.
Okay.
I have a question, and this is gonna take us back because it was an incident that just happened in Florida where individuals um, that were where was it? It was on the west coast of Florida where the storms came through, right? And there was reports of people dying in their homes, but I'm bringing a point up because there was a situation where there was it was a young black woman, or maybe she wasn't that young. Maybe she was maybe her mid 30s or maybe early 40s, something like that. But anyway, she was celebrating a birthday with a bunch of friends at an Airbnb in one of the areas over there, and apparently they were there and she ended up drowning. The water was rising or rise, it got to a point where she ended up drowning in the Airbnb. And then my thought was that I'm thinking, well, why didn't they just leave? But she wasn't from here. So thinking about that, just you're thinking forward, if you're on vacation in a location and a disaster is pending or coming, you know, how did someone prepare? Because it's like, okay, I'm not from here. What do I do? Do I just blow it off? I'm on vacation. Oh, it should be okay. Or, like, let's talk about that, because those scenarios happen too. Because in that scenario, they're not home, you're not in a place, but they probably had a vehicle. Or if they didn't have a vehicle, they probably had access to get to a vehicle and leave out. Like, this is a situation where they needed to leave where they were and they didn't. And that,
Mhm.
unfortunately, that young sister, or that the sister ended up dying
Mm.
because they stayed, and she ended up drowning somehow in the
Mhm.
Airbnb.
Yes, ma'am. So it's the same thing. The first thing is anytime you travel, you should have an emergency plan. No matter where
Mm.
you are and what you do, you should have some type of emergency plan written out. You should, of course, I say this, but I know, people gonna do what they want to do. You should never really travel alone. You should really travel with someone if you can. I know certain circumstances prevent that, but if you're going to travel with someone that knows you. When you travel, you should also have on like a tag or a necklace or something that has your identity, your information, your medication card, just some money, some physical money on you, and some emergency numbers in case something happens to you in that time and you need to reach out to somebody. They should have your name on it. They should have it, especially if you're in a country. Let's say you're in Mexico and people are speaking Spanish. You should be able to have a translated card to be able to translate your name and your information in Spanish. Wherever you're traveling to, you should have something on you where it's in that language. And again, you should have a walkthrough emergency plan wherever you are. If you don't have a vehicle, then it should be in your bag. Um, you should also have, like, of course, your passport and things like that. Those things should be secured somewhere where nobody can have access to it. But the biggest thing is just preparing yourself and going through those evacuations and having a plan in the case something happens. Because again, like Brother Tony mentioned, we're not going to be able to be prepared for every single thing that happens in every disaster. But you want to at least have the basics, and the basis is thinking to yourself, okay, if I go to this country and something happened, am I prepared? What do I do in this case? In her case, I don't really know the whole situation on how she drowned, or did she have the opportunity to evacuate during that time. So I can't really elaborate on that situation. But again, I would never travel alone if I can help it, to have somebody there that would be able to monitor and kind of keep an eye on me, or I'm keeping an eye on them, as well as having that emergency plan written out and practicing that emergency plan, because one day it's going to go into action. So if you're not practicing it, you're not really working on it, then you're going to see the results when you have the actual, not the test, but the actual, you know.
Right. You're planning to fail if you don't
Well, right,
exercise the plan.
That's right.
exactly,
That's right.
exactly. And
We,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Sister Michelle.
No, I was gonna. So my other portion of the question is also too, is that right, and some of the reasons why we were thinking about this show is because I got somewhat concerned, right? Because we've got a lot happening. We're already in a dark hour, we know, right?
Mhm.
We're moving into what I would say even a darker period,
Sure.
because we're really getting into a place where they're already talking about how things are going to start happening, within some months from us from now. And I thought to myself, yes, we need to prepare, but it's vehicle disaster preparedness, but we really need to prepare in so many other ways. Because when people have lost their jobs,
Mm.
and you're not, and you've been evicted from your home,
Right.
Right.
and you don't, and you're in your car, right, and you may not have money for gas, or you may not have money for food, or you may not have money, like, in those circumstances. And these things are already happening. I mean, how many cases have we seen where someone has shot at someone, families in a car,
Right.
living in a car, and it being shot at, or whatever. They just found some I think I don't know if it's a boyfriend and a girlfriend. It might have been a domestic issue, but they were in a car with their children. I
Mhm.
mean, anything and everything can happen. And
Mhm.
so I wanted us to talk a little bit, even if it's a discussion, about, as we're moving into this arena where thousands of people are getting laid off, people may not have homes, in those circumstances, you're already in your car. How do you, what is the suggestion? And I know you're taking some courses, and you're probably dealing with those scenarios of people that are homeless and that may not have anywhere to go, or they may not be able to evacuate. Unfortunately, may be sleeping in the streets. I mean, I don't know. I wanted to touch on that. And then on top of that, it's not helping that the food prices are going up, the gas is going up, everything is super expensive. I mean, people are foregoing certain things just to eat, just to drink, and now we gotta try to prepare because the weather is out of control. There's certain anomalies happening that have never happened before. It's so many things. But anyway, I just wanted your take on that, and because everything is about preparedness at this point, whether it's in
Absolutely.
your vehicle or your home or disaster. We just, yeah, we don't know, but I mean, in those cases, and somebody on here may know someone, what would you tell them?
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. So, going to a spiritual aspect, that takes me to that spiritual aspect.
Come on, sis. Come on.
For me, I would say first and foremost, seek refuge in Allah. We have been taught for a long time of the time that we are approaching and the time that we're actually in at this moment. And, we've been warned by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, for decades, in what to expect. And a lot of us did not think that we would actually live in this time to see what he talked about. He spoke about hyperinflation. The Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan talked about the stock market crashing and the fall of the dollar. And so we know that these things are taking place, and we had the opportunity prior to, or some of us, most of us did, to start preparing ourselves. But a lot of us have waited, until it gets so bad instead of preparing ourselves. And now we have to actually go through it. And so the first thing is, of course, keeping the spiritual level-minded head. That's the first and most. Because if mentally you can't cope with the reality of our experiences right now, then you're not going to be able to make it through what is coming for us. One of the things I had a sister who we actually stayed together. We lived together, her family and my family, because at a certain point we felt like that's the way that we can survive. When the Honorable Elijah said, if your brother and sister need a bowl of bean soup, my bean soup is your bean soup. They're entitled to half of that bean soup. I look at it like that. So us living together helped to cut costs all the way around for us to do whatever it is that we need to do to be successful. We had to learn how to rise above our emotions. We had to learn how to work together. We had to learn how to pool our resources. We also had to learn how to, eat according to our dietary, which is 1 meal a day. Because the food is rising and the prices are going up, that Navy bean is the cheapest thing right now. You can get a 1-pound bag of Navy beans for $1, $2, but even that's rising right now.
Yes.
So getting back to what we've been taught is actually what will save our lives in this time. Again, praying, reading the Holy Quran, studying, understanding this time, working on yourself. I would say at a certain point, staying off the internet. Staying off of social media where you can look at everything coming down and how they're distracting us from the reality. Continuing to prepare, at every given moment, at every opportunity. Every time you get extra money, go out and get something for your home and bring it into your home. If you're stranded in your car, you have to find your community. Your community may be others who are stranded in their car together, and you all may have to work together. Reaching out to people that can help you and getting assistance, and not being afraid of your situation that you don't want to talk to somebody else about it. A lot of times us as Black people, I'm gonna say Black people, we wait until things are so bad, then we talk to somebody.
Right.
But if we would have said something prior to, we may have had somebody that was willing to assist us and help us prior to us losing our home, prior to us losing our car, prior to us, whatever the situation. Because if you talk to somebody about it, even in the mosque, even your lieutenant, even your captain, you have to go to someone to tell them your situation. And I know a lot of times we feel like people are going to judge us. It doesn't matter. We got to get to a point where the only person's judgment that we're worried about is Allah's. because we're trying to survive. If they're going to judge you then, they're really going to judge you when you lose your house. They're really going to judge you when you lose your car. They're really going to judge you when you really don't have any money, or you lose your family, or you all are sick, in a car. So at this point,
Right.
Find a community, find somebody that you can trust and tell them the situation and try to find a plan. See, we did that and it cut costs. So if you're paying, rent now is average $1,500 to $2,000. Okay, you have a family or 2-3 believers, you're splitting that cost in half, or you're splitting it 3 ways. So that's already going to be some, stress relief off of that. Then food, same thing. This sister cooked today. This sister cooked tomorrow. This sister cooked. Everybody's taking their turn. You eat that 1 meal a day, and you're helping each other to, get through this dark hour. And I'm saying that because I bear witness to doing it. And I've done it on multiple occasions where I've had believers to come and stay here with us, with our family, and we were like families. And then when they got on their feet and they were back to where they needed to be, they went into their own place. So that would be the biggest thing. Spiritually, just understanding the time and not letting things stress you. Learning a little bit of meditation, learning to just take deep breaths and not get so overwhelmed with life, and knowing that what Allah puts on us, He said He would never give us more than what we can handle. So whatever we have on us, we can get through it. And after difficulty is ease in every situation. Right. So, those are the things that I keep in mind. I'm always thinking, with me having 7 children, I think about that all the time, because even though I do disaster preparedness, I also do work a job. My husband works a job, and I think about the same thing. Now, what if we lose our job? Are we ready? So we're already processing this in our mind to see what's going to happen. We're not waiting and thinking that we're not going to lose our job. We know it's coming. It's just about when. So right now, while I have a job, I am preparing, buying things, getting things, stocking things up, so that when we lose our job, the blow wouldn't be so hard, because we already will have things. And lastly, I must say, you want to be able to conserve now. A lot of times we don't realize how wasteful we are when it comes to wasting water, wasting food, wasting everything, wasting the lights are on all over the house, and we're not even trying to cook, right now. So you have to get to a place where you're not wasting anything. Everything needs to be utilized, 2 and 3 fold if you can. Tissue, don't roll it too much to where now you're going out to buy.
No, real talk.
To be, because
that's true.
Point, we may not have it, or we may not even be able to afford to have it. And so we're going to be back on all the times that we, wasted money and just didn't care about it, during those times we don't have it. And lastly, I looked at the stock market crash, and they talked about how they were eating stone soup and dandelion soup to survive. They were looking in the fields looking for dandelions to put in a pot. And sometimes they didn't even have enough water. They were waiting for it to rain so they can have enough water to make soup. But the thing about it is they got through it. That's the thing. It was a dark, dark period. It was an unexpected period. It was something they never experienced in that time era. But they actually got through it for the most part. And some people didn't make it, but for the most part, they got through. So always keep your eye on the fact that Allah's going to get us through it if it's meant for Him to do so.
Sister Jaquela, you bring up such an important component of disaster preparedness, which is the spiritual aspect of things, because that has to be our base, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. Because when people are out losing it,
right.
And we could be in our vehicles, as we're talking about vehicle disaster preparedness, or we could be anywhere.
Right.
And there are going to be some people that are going to be agitated and upset, and they're going to look at us and try to start an argument with us that it's a situation that may be unnecessary. We don't have to succumb to situations like that. If we are spiritually in tune with the way that we are taught, we don't have to succumb to that. We're able to get through all those traps and situations so that we can be safe in this hour. And so thank you so much for highlighting that, beloved sister.
Great. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I didn't want to go so further in the show. There was a question for you, Sister Jaquela, in regards to where in the Holy Quran It's basically state things getting done today and not putting it off. And if you don't have that information, I think Brother Tony
I'm
did.
already ready.
Listen.
Tony.
If you don't have it, beloved.
Go ahead, Brother Tony.
Okay, praise be to Allah. In the 18th surah or chapter of the Holy Quran, in the 23rd to the 24th ayat or verse, it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, and say not of anything, I will do that tomorrow, unless Allah please. And remember thy Lord when thou forgettest, and say, maybe my Lord will guide me to a nearer course to the right than this.
Okay, and that's Surah 18.
18 verses 23 to 24.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna go ahead and drop that in the chat. Surah 18. We got the Surah 18 part, Sister Khalil.
Yeah, I got that part. I just mistakenly enter verse 28 through
23 to
23 to
24,
24.
right?
Verse 23 to 24.
23 to 24.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Timothy. I see them. Sister Barbara.
Praise be to Allah.
See, we got your back, Sister.
Right.
I appreciate that.
Listen.
All the time I do a lot of reading, like I promise you, and sometimes it's just hard to go back and quote every scripture, every verse that we read. So thank you so much for that.
All praises due to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
So we okay. Sister Michelle, you had a question. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say let's not forget also too. I wanted to and we'll come back to this, but I wanted to also talk to Sister Tequila about when these disasters do happen, how we have to be careful, right? Because there's people that have died because of generators and those types of things. And yes, this is again vehicle disaster preparedness. But when you're not in your vehicle or you're at home and you're prepared and you've made it through the storm, there's certain precautions that you have to be mindful of. And then also to that question, we can come back to it, but then also to as you're waiting because it's almost, I mean, these disasters do happen. We got to remember to make sure that the stuff that you have ready is good, because sometimes we'll have things and
dated
up and we don't look at it until a disaster comes, and sometimes it could be out of date. You want to make sure that stuff is stored and it's still good to use, or you need to keep rotating it out to make sure that it's fresh. So anyway, we can come back to that, but
but let's stick on that, because that's a go. Listen, because I had some I promise you, I had some Band-Aids. I promise you, they was older than Jesus Christ. They were so brown and ugly. I say that.
Older than Methuselah.
Listen, even when I tore off the sticker, I couldn't even stick it on nothing. I say,
it's a real thing.
What you got all that stuff like? And the thing is, what we do, because again, our mind as Black people, we are prepared. But if you're not going back and saying, hey, I bought these in 2000. It's 2023. You don't think that the Band-Aids got a date on it? Come on, Kalila. And I'm telling you, I was trying to give it to one of my girls on my cheerleader team. They was like, Miss Muhammad, that don't. I said, baby, I'm sorry. Let me go get you some more Band-Aids. But it was, but you're absolutely right, Sister Michelle. Even with if the lights go out, and you got them batteries that you ain't look at in 10 years, and they have all kind of corrosion on them. You know what I mean?
Right. You don't want to use those.
You don't want to use them.
You like it work. Like, I kind of got it going. No.
Yes, that's a good. Those are excellent questions and observations as well. I definitely want to say that with any type of gas products like the butane, propane, and the kerosene, and all that, you definitely, first of all, you want to kind of study and read prior to any type of items that you have in your home. So I tell people all the time, I do sell the butane stove and I have propane, and I encourage people to get that as well. But I always tell them the risk. You know, a lot of those gases, they will emit carbon monoxide if you're not careful. If they're not stored.
Mm.
Yeah, if they're in temperatures like, those are the things you don't want to keep in your car, especially in the summertime, because if they get beyond a certain temperature, they can combust. If they get to a temperature that's below a certain amount, they can freeze, and then after they thaw out, it's not going to work the same. So you definitely want to have the manuals. A lot of times we get those manuals that come with our products and we don't ever read them.
Mm.
Keep the manuals with those type of products, because during that time you want to know how to properly use it. A lot of times, for example, I took a class with my son. It was the CERT class, Community Emergency Response Team Training class. It's like a 16-hour program where they teach you like the basic fundamentals of disaster preparedness, and you can do that and certify yourself for every 2 years. And this particular class, I knew within myself, I knew how to use a fire extinguisher. I just knew I knew how to use it until I took the class. And then I tried to use it, and it wasn't nothing like I thought it was. And I'm thinking to myself, I said, now, if it was really a fire, we would have died, because by the time it took me to figure out what to do and do it, I didn't even know. Why? By the time it, had to say, okay, now you pull this and then you lift that, and then you have to aim it at the fire. I didn't know that. So a lot of times, certain things, one, we do have to humble ourselves and be as students and take classes and learn, even if we think we know. But then once we get it, we have to practice these things. You should not buy a butane stove if you have never used it. You buy it, but then use it. Because a lot of times, just like, for example, like the life jackets when it comes to swimming, you buy it, you got it, but you don't check it to make sure it don't have holes in it. You never use it. You don't know how to secure it and put it on. Now your home is flooding, it's water coming in, and now you're trying to figure out how to use that. So you should practicing these things, and you should already have the device information attached to it, so that if you do have time to look over and read it, you do that. So I suggest everyone watch videos. YouTube is your best friend when it comes to people actually showing other people how to use it. For me, when I first started on my journey when it comes to disaster preparedness, I didn't know what I know now. I had to watch videos and read books in order for me to know. And so watch videos, read books, learn how to stock and store things properly when it comes to your items. And like you said, sis, rotating is very important. Every really 3 to 6 months, you should be looking at your items. I would say every 6 months when it comes to the food products, because for example, it could be rodents that could have gotten behind your food. And once they get into your food, they're going to wreak havoc on everything. So you want to always check in to make sure, especially like in the summer and spring months, those ants, they coming for you. They have all different moths and different bugs that come into your flour, in your rice. So you should always be checking your items, making sure they're free of debris. If you need to re-clean up or just shift everything around and organize it. A lot of times we'll just buy and stock. We're stocking the newer items on top, and then the older items are sitting at the bottom for years. Like Sister said, you have something from 2000 and you think it's good. And also you're not storing the items properly. So a lot of times we buy the bag and we just set them on the shelf in the bag. That's just the best way. We got them. You told us to prepare. We got our stuff. But that's not necessarily the case with certain things. You have to look up how to properly store beans. And they'll tell you for longevity, you have to put them in my other bags. You have to put them in a container. You can't leave them stored like that. So then you're thinking you got beans, you got them sitting there for 4 to 5 years. And then all of a sudden you eat them and they're stale, or they're milled, they're soft, or you just don't have that. They're just nasty. So making sure that you're looking at these things, that you're, looking at your food, even water, because water sitting for too long, it can go, it can be stale. Now, I don't believe in just throwing all your water away. I feel like you can use it for other purposes. For example, if it's not used for drinking, you can use it for cleaning. If you need to add your, to it, you can use it for sanitary reasons when it comes to like going to the bathroom and flushing things. So I wouldn't just take my water and throw it out necessarily, but then I could use that for drinking. So just making sure we're rotating, we're physically touching our items, checking the dates. And if it gets close to a date where it needs to be thrown out, try to see if you can donate it. You know how many people need food right now?
Come on.
Those items say, okay, they're going to expire in 2 months. Take them to the shelter.
Right.
Take them to a school, go find a pantry, or give them to somebody that utilize them. Don't just be like, oh, my beans expired, or they expire next month, I'm just going to toss them in the trash. Just give them to somebody more beans.
That you said now this is where that is good. My husband's stomach. That's a good fact. No, because I have a lot of beans, right? That is, when we did our beans and we had tons and tons of beans and they're just sitting there, and I want to be able to donate those and give back to the community and, finding a shelter where they will be able to take that. I never thought, of taking those items to somewhere that they will be able to utilize those beans. So therefore I can restock what, is not currently, it's that I have to replace once I get rid of them. So that's a good thought that I'm definitely going to take heed to as soon as possible so I can, again, restock and be prepared.
Oh,
Praise be to Allah.
Sister Dequela, I don't want to forget this too, because we used to do this, we used to do this, when we were, in our classes, but, we used to do also too with the family, having that emergency plan of, if something happens within the house, or even if you're traveling, there's a meeting points, or
Right.
like you said, plan it out. Like, so if something happens, let's meet over here, right? Everybody meets here, right? So everybody knows, or if something happens, how to get out of a window, or and also too, when you're in the car, we don't talk about this much, but remember where they had the it's a device where if somehow you get trapped in your car and it's flooding, you need to break through the window. So there's something that you can put on the window that you tap and it shatters the window. So this way you don't have to try to figure out how to get out of the window. You tap it, boom, you're out. So anyway, I just want to, if you want to touch on that, because I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, we all need to know where to meet when something happens. If you got more people in the house than yourself, and if you're in a car sinking, you need to get out of the car.
Yes, ma'am. Just add to what you were saying, Sister Michelle. Beautiful as well. So yes, in every case of any disaster preparedness, you have to have a plan. If you go to schools, like I've been in certain schools, I've actually worked for MUI doing a disaster preparedness program as well. You want to have some type of plan. Like I said, I take classes at FEMA, and so when you go through FEMA, they talk so much about the plan first. What are we going to do prior to? Because it's one thing to say, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, but if you don't have a plan, and maybe something may happen to you. I tell my children all the time, what happened to me? Do y'all know what to do? So plan will also secure your family in case something happens to you. So yeah, you should write down phone numbers of family members, those who said that you can come and stay, where they live at, how to get there outside of using a GPS, having a map, having their address already printed out to get to them, to their location. Also making sure that everybody knows your phone numbers. Everybody knows their phone, because it could be life and death, meaning your child gets separated from you and don't even know your phone number and know how to find you.
Right. I don't even know your name.
Wait, but here's an important point, though. Here's an important point. Remember when we used to write down phone numbers? We would memorize phone numbers? That's not us today.
No.
But, see, if these phones stop working, we do have to back up the information, but let's say we don't even have access to that.
Right.
There are the phone numbers that we should have access to. And so that is excellent.
Right.
This is an excellent point, your sister. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Yes, we have to memorize it. So I tell my children, I'd be like, what's my phone number? Because I want to make sure they know. Even my husband, because I used to have my husband's number, under my husband. I'm like, what's the last 4 digits of your phone number? I should know this. If I don't use it, then I'm not going to know it. So you should always be practicing that. Or sometimes with me, I normally put some numbers in my phone without the name on it. So I just have the number where I can visually see the number and the name and be able to match it. And you'd be surprised at how you can't remember those numbers when you absolutely need them. So, like Brother Tony stated, writing these things down,
Right.
going over it, practicing it, studying it, and again having that emergency kit with phone numbers and names. Just the things like if you don't have access to the internet, do you have these things?
Right.
Okay. So I also I also wrote a book, so I put that in the book as well. But I always tell people like get a little address note or a little notebook paper and just write down everybody's address, email address, phone numbers, just different ways where you can access individuals. Stick it in that book and just make sure that your children and your family know where it is. So in the case that you don't have access to any electronics, you all can still make it to the next destination.
Praises be to Allah. It's so funny that you mentioned that. I was talking to one of my girls on the cheerleader team, and I said, "How do you spell your mom's name?" "Oh, I don't know how to spell her name."
This is a
10, but this 10 years old.
Right.
This not no 3-year-old or 4-year-old.
No.
We're talking about.
Says the Kalila, I deal with middle school students and high school students that don't know their own address.
Yeah.
And that's so this thing. because we've been so dependent on these right here, we got to turn some things around. We as responsible people, as responsible parents, we have to start shifting things around where we're putting these kind of things into practice especially in case of an emergency.
Well,
but
now,
even when it's not an emergency.
Right. Well, now here's a homework assignment. Those parents, we're talking to you. Your children, you will say, "Child, they know they live here. Why they don't know it?" Because you never taught it.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. And you have been deputized now to teach your child, and I'm starting with mine, because she knows. I think she's gonna be forging my name one day, but she knows how to spell my name. She knows how. She knows how to. But knowing where she stays, that's and I'm going to even take it even a step further. My brother is almost 50, and he didn't know his social security number. Mm-hmm. And it's real because again. Real. You are not being taught this at your home, which is the base. When you get into an emergency or a disaster and you cannot even identify your own identity, that is a problem. Absolutely. That is a problem. So beyond the vehicle, just getting prepared to know who you are.
Well, right. To the Kalila, the social security number isn't our identity, but it corresponds to, right. I understand. Of course.
That's a different.
Right. It's such an important thing to know.
Sure.
Because we're dependent on that to secure employment and other things in this world.
Right. So, of this world. You need it.
Right.
But we're going to, we want to be able to land this plane because we definitely want to get to the tree of the week. And like I said, I have my pad, my pen. I want to be able to write some things down that I will need for my family to start preparing as soon as we get off this show. Because again, we are taught in the Nation of Islam, there's warning before destruction.
Absolutely.
And for those of you who are listening right now, you are receiving a warning because one day it can be you that will need this information and you won't be able to go on the internet to find this information. That's why it's important for you to write it down, and not only write it down, put it in the memory bank of your head. So just in case you might not have this, you will say, okay, well, I did write this down and I did write that down. So you will have some type of guideline, a foundation to create in order to save your life. So I wanted to, if nobody had any other questions in regards to that, because I really want to, again, dive into the tree of the week, because our tree of the week is basically getting prepared. You had a question, brother Tony?
Sister Kalila, well, our sister does have a company oriented towards disaster preparedness. She has a website. We want to highlight some of our sister's works. And there we have her information there. Please follow our sister on social media. And please go to her website and support her products that is geared towards our benefit. If I could also highlight something that I purchased for my students and also for my children, are you ready? She also came out with a disaster readiness for children book. It's a book for children, and
we can purchase that on your website. Am I correct, Sister?
Still available for purchase. Let's support our sister and keep our children in mind, and how to start preparing our children for disaster preparedness. And so we want to thank you so much for your service, Sister Quayla, and let's support her for providing the kind of vital service that we need in our own homes, in our vehicles, and anywhere that we are going to be.
Absolutely. I also have another book called Disaster Preparedness 3.0. And so this is for the adults. It's just a little guide that you can have, again, because I always think about having the tangible carbon copy guide for you, so that, again, if something were to happen and you don't have your phone service, you're not able to just easily go online and look up, a website. You have some basic information in this book to get you through, a certain disaster preparedness situations.
So that book is kind of like a template as well. You can actually write within that book. Okay.
Well, this one is just actually just different things that you can do in the case of disaster.
Okay.
Different things that you can have, how to make a plan, items to put. It has actual items in here that you can add to your kit, and different things like that. Should you stay? Should you go? Mm-hmm.
There is a question.
Very useful information. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. There is a question from Brother Sean, Sister Kalila. So the book can be purchased on arksurvivalsurplus.com, Sister Quayla?
Yes, I actually have .com and .org. So I believe if they go to .org, they may be able to get it. I also have a Shopify, and I think it's connected to the .org. So if you type in, even if you go to Google and type that book in with my name, it will come up. It's also available on Amazon. Both books are available on Amazon. And just type in my name or type in the book, and it should come up, inshallah.
Sean gonna look. Sean love Amazon.
Praise be to
That means Sister Kalila loves Amazon.
No, Sean, my husband, loves Amazon. He doesn't. He probably purchasing it right now.
Hold on. Can we do one more thing before we go to Treat of the Week? Is it anybody that has access to be?
We lost Sister Quayla.
If we can bring up the website.
Sure. Go ahead.
Inshallah, Sister Quayla will be back in just a moment.
All right.
Let's bring our sister back. Oh, I'm sorry. There she is.
Okay. There.
Oh, there we go.
Should I put Brother Sean's comments on there? Let's do that.
Oh my God.
He says, don't be disrespectful, Kalila Muhammad. And he says here, and I am ordering it on Amazon.
I told you.
Support your own.
Gotta love them.
Yeah, out of control. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can get it up, but let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, I can't get it.
You can get it.
No.
Okay.
It's on .org or .com. It might be on .org.
It's .org. Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So arksurvivalsurplus.org.
Yep.
Yes. I have both, but I didn't put the book on both yet, so I'm still working on my websites and things.
Yes.
No. You're good. I was just trying to see. Was anybody? Let me see. Let me try it one more time. I think. Let's see if I can.
And if you forget, you could just go to Instagram. Go to Divine by Nature 1.
Oh, there it goes. Hold on.
Sister has her information there.
I think I got it. There we go.
You got it. There we go.
Can you all see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go. So this is the website. Here's some of the products. There you go. She does consultations, book and intel, cooking and fuel, food and water, the survival kits. I'll click on here just so that, wait, hold on.
Yeah, it might not be on that one yet. Yeah.
Oh.
I have like 4 or 5 different websites, so I'm working it out, inshallah.
All right.
This way. You all
either
can
way.
find me. Yes.
There you go. Well, you have a lot of things going on here. Okay. All right.
Yes,
Well, you all
Support our sister, and you're supporting yourself.
Yes, you
Praise
are.
be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
And my husband also mentioned
Right there, Brother Sean. Yeah, right there. Awesome book for our children.
praises be to Allah. So
All right.
going to that, okay, so what we have is a segment called the Tree of the Week, right? And the Tree of the Week is basically something that was generated by our dear brother, brother Philip. And it was basically a segue to bring growth into the minds of those who want knowledge and is a seeker of knowledge, and for them to take away from the show.
Sister
So that's
when in the midst of the pandemic, what we were talking about initially was how to boost the immune system.
exactly.
And so that's where the concept Tree of the
Tree of the Week, right?
was brought in. So you're dealing with this herb or that herb,
Right.
then the idea just branched out and just generally
Right.
concepts and ideas.
Just food for thought, information that you need in order for you to save your life. And so I wanted to actually segue to that Tree of the Week. And our Tree of the Week is getting prepared. Your life and family life depends on it. So we were mentioning about that list of items that, you know, the first thing you said, food, clothes, and shelter. Okay. Duh, right? But what does that detail? What is the details of food, clothes, and shelter? I mean, I can assume, because listen, when I travel, and my husband can bear witness, I overpack. You know, I'm the one that, you know, be in the the airport, they like 54 pounds, and then I have to take stuff and put it in the other. I'm that guy. I'm that sister. But based off of survival, I want to be able, and and I have been taught that, whatever I have that's going to prepare me, I should be able to carry it on my back.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that list? And just starting with let's start with food. What food, if we're in a vehicle, that we will need in order for us to be prepared for any disaster?
Yes, ma'am. So some items, I have my list here that I already have written down. So some of the items include high energy foods.
Okay.
Any type of crackers, trail mix that you can make for yourself or your family, protein bars, dried fruit, dehydrated or freeze dried healthy snacks, protein powder that you can just add to water, of course, vitamins, and whatever else that you see fit. The thing about food is you just want to make sure that it doesn't spoil due to the temperature if it's too cold or too hot. So you just want to kind of change it up, when it comes to the weather. Just make sure it's the non-perishable kind.
Okay. So can we be so this food, because I thought, but then I kind of like, okay, what if I'm away and then it happens? This food should always be in your vehicle.
In your vehicle. And and I
At
also
all
would
times.
say portable, like it was a sister who had the portable navy bean soup. I also would have that. I say that because a lot of people they don't have access to it. Inshallah, that's one of the products I'm working on now with some other sisters and believers, that we're going to have that available. But like the portable navy bean soup, or like lentil soup that's already pre-made in packages that you can have, that just only you can eat it straight out the pack, or it's something that you can heat up in your car or heat up if you need to. Yeah, so you just want to have things that are just easy, and you also want to have items that are lightweight. You don't want to have big, huge, heavy things, because like you mentioned, if you have to get out and walk, you want to be able to have things that fit in that backpack where you have to walk a long distance, and you don't want to be trying to walk, 5, 6, 7 miles, even a mile with a heavy backpack. You'll be out of breath. So
okay. Okay, so definitely the portable navy beans and lentil, high energy food. What other things that we can add to the food list in regards to the vehicles?
Yes, ma'am. So I would say freeze dried. Freeze dried is really good fruit or vegetables, because it's really, really light, but the nutrition in it is very high. It's not quite in a fresh apple, but it's close to it when it comes to the nutritional value of the freeze dried, or even dehydrated. Now, I know we should not always eat dried food or fruits. This is just in a case of an emergency. So like the dried bananas, raisins, and mango and things, of pineapple that doesn't have a lot of sugar on it, that you can have in your vehicle, especially if you have children, because if you're trying to make it for a day in your vehicle and they're crying because they're hungry, you just definitely want to have that. You can also do like, homemade cereal that you made. Again, I say granola bars because you can put what you want to put in those granola bars, or your own trail mix. And so with me having children, I always think about them when it comes to things. I would do a trail mix, and you could do like the Chex Mix or Life cereal that doesn't have all the, crazy ingredients on it, or the, the chemicals in it. You can add, like, again, the dry fruit mixed in there. You can even dry navy beans. Me and my mom experimented with the dry navy beans, and they're really chewy, almost like the Boston baked beans. And you can actually season those and add those into, your trail mix. So just different things that's going to give you that high energy, to where if you have to walk a long distance, you have the energy to do so.
Okay. And that the freeze dry fruit will also help with the diabetes as well.
Definitely,
because
you don't anything to it. It's already naturally sweet from the fruit once you get it. Freeze dry is already naturally sweet. So try to find it. If you can't get it made, or you're not able to freeze dry it yourself, you just buy it from like the Whole Food store, or your local grocery store, but just make sure it doesn't have any added sugars to it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's get to the clothes.
Wait, Sister Cleo,
okay, I'm sorry.
Before you get off the food and go to the clothes, how much water?
Water
is a good question.
Yeah, should you keep the car, the plastic and all that?
Right. So of course you want to find BPA free bottles. They also have glass jugs you can use as well if possible. But if you have to have water in there, the golden rule is 1 gallon per person per day. And I know you can't have that much water in your car, but the minimum of having a survival is about 72 hours. So I tell people to try to have a kit for 72 hours. You're not going to be able to put your whole home in there. So don't try to have it for, what happens, if I'm going to be in a car for a week, and what happens if I'm going to be 2 weeks. The whole point of a kit is just to get you from point A to point B. So it's in the case of, like I said, if you're in your car, you're trying to get home and you're stranded on the highway, you may be in your car for a day or two. So you just have a day or two. You may make it to the next destination. Somebody else may come up with water, So just have at least 1 gallon per person if you can. Again, my family's huge, so I may have 5 gallons in there somehow, somewhere. But, inshallah, you'll get more water when you can.
Okay. Praises be to Allah. Did you have any other questions for the food, Sister Michelle?
No, yeah, it was just about the water piece.
Okay. Praise be to Allah. And that's a good catch, Sister Michelle. Okay, so clothing. Definitely a coat, right? Like you were saying about that freezing weather.
Cold.
Yeah, definitely a coat.
You want to put a coat in there, a poncho if it rains. They have little tiny poncho packs you can just throw in your vehicle or put in your go bag. I always tell people to have a little black bag. That's just a black bag that has a change of clothes in it. You want to have at least, like, they have some thin little jogging pants that you can put in there. I would say a t-shirt or two, like the little white t-shirts, your undergarments, and a pair of socks. And you have that. And what I do is I have my children lay it out and then they just roll it. They roll it, and this is a shirt, a pair of pants, underwear, and socks, all in this rolled up set of clothes, and they just stick that in their bag or stick that in your go bag. If it's just you have at least a pair of clothes, because you don't never know where you may be drenched in water and you need to be able to change your clothes. That's going to help our mental, because if we sit here, or if somebody died, you got blood all on you. You don't want to have somebody else's
be
blood
walking around that, right?
or any of those things. So you want to at least try to have that. And again, like I mentioned earlier, having a change of shoes, some walking shoes in your vehicle, because again, if you're not a person that wears tennis shoes all the time, you definitely do not want to be stranded in your vehicle and not have some shoes. And you don't have to go out and go buy no expensive pair of walking shoes. You can go to the Goodwill and try on some shoes that are comfortable. You're not putting them in there to be, you're putting them in there in case you have to walk a long distance and you need some shoes that are comfortable.
Excellent. Let me just say this right now. Those of you tuning in, please make sure you're taking notes. Please, and support our sister. She has invaluable information in the book that she has available. I'm going to go ahead and get it for myself and for my family. And we encourage all of you to get it yourself, because when it comes down to these kind of situations where are considered to be disaster oriented, we have to do the very best that we can to be prepared. You can never prepare enough for a situation, but let's at least cover the basis of bare minimum to be prepared. And we thank our sister for coming on here tonight, for providing such a beautiful service to all of us.
Okay, I wasn't done with my tree of the week. So
go ahead, sister.
So shelter, since we're talking about vehicles, can you give us just some thoughts on, like, making sure our our vehicles are gassed up, how we can prepare the vehicle itself in regards to disaster? Can we talk about that? Because that would be considered the shelter at this particular time.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So you already mentioned, of course, trying to keep your car at least on half a tank. The golden rule is being able to leave the city and be able to get within 50-mile radius outside of the city if something was to happen. Again, the recent disaster that was in Virginia, they were on the highway for 17, 18 hours before they were rescued. They said one of the longest disaster preparedness was Beijing. I think they were in the car for 12 days. And then New York, 3 days, they were in their vehicle for 3 days straight. And so we always got to be mindful. Of course, that hasn't happened to us, and prayerfully it doesn't, but in case it does. And so shelter would include, again, like a tarp you want to have in there. You also want to have like the wool blanket, or like the sleeping bag that's already ready for you in case you have to be in your car. Because again, if it's in the wintertime and you have to turn your vehicle off, you want to have something that's in that vehicle as best as possible. And you want to also have something that can, that you can put around your windows in case you have to be in your car. You don't want anybody to see, you being in your vehicle. Another thing of shelter is what I would say, if you have an opportunity to get a tent, if you're not able to do that, then the tarp is your backup tent, because it does the same thing. It's just you having to figure out how to maneuver and set that up, having some rope in your car for the tarp. But yeah, just having something to wear if you need to get out of your car and stretch out, you may have to lay outside, or whatever the case is, you have some type of shelter that you have to make sure that you are secure in your vehicle.
Wow. Man, this is some great information. Really great information. Maya, don't worry about it.
Right.
Listen.
Catch the replay, Sister Maya.
Catch the replay, because
Take
I'm
notes.
telling you, this is going to be some mind-blowing information. And like I said, this is just one aspect of disaster preparedness. I want to be able to ask the sister, would she bless us again just to talk about another part of disaster preparedness on a mental level. If she can bless us with her presence for a part 2 of disaster preparedness. Because listen, we've been on you, Sister Tequila, for a long time, and we was like
trying to get you on for a while.
we were trying to grab you up. But you know, and I want to be able to definitely keep you in our database, because the thing is, this is so important, and this is what the minister has constantly been telling us to do in regards to knowing what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Absolutely. And you know, I want to make people aware how important and valuable this information is, and don't take it for granted. This is not something that we're talking about a movie on MacGyver, because the minister always talked about whatever you see in the movies can come to a theater near you.
That's it.
You know, so just being mindful of that just the mindset and what we should be mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared for. So
and I want to sis to that about the movie really quick. They have a lot of documentaries out right now too. They have documentaries of where people are literally stranded in winter, stranded in heat, stranded, you know, earthquakes. Talk about major earthquakes that have happened recently, and they're literally walking people through what is literally happening, seeing dead bodies, experiencing dehydration, and being able to walk long periods of time. So I do suggest and encourage all of us to, you know, even if you don't like watching stuff like that, you might as well just go ahead and start, just so you can kind of have a visual and prepare yourself, your family, your mind, your body for the things that could possibly happen.
And get hydrated now, because some of you all are already dehydrated. I just report the news. I just report the news. I don't want no smoke. I just report the news, because we got to get dehydrated right now, because we got to get hydrated. We got to get hydrated right now, because some of you are already dehydrated. I promise you, I can pinch you and nothing ain't coming out for some dust. So I'm sorry, I digress.
We don't take care of ourselves like how we should.
You're right.
So that is an actual fact.
So how we gonna get prepared for something that we ain't even prepared right now?
See, look, let me say this. If we didn't learn this in the midst of this pandemic, which in truth we're still in the pandemic, but we had not learned a lesson like this on how to get our bodies right and how to prepare properly, getting the proper supplements into our bodies and submitting to that process. Look, I was one of those that was like, man, I don't need no supplements. I'm good. I'm good. You know. Yeah. And then there was a believer that told me, who's very close to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and told me the minister is taking supplements.
Yeah.
At that point, what argument do I have?
Right.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
Get yourself hydrated, family. If you're,
absolutely.
Some of us are saying, I don't like to drink water. Start liking it.
Oh yeah, start now.
No other way of putting it.
You have to drink in a minute.
Exactly. Well, praise be to Allah. And again, I'm so glad we brought you on, Sister Tequila, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this, because we're just moving in such a time that we have to get back in that mindset, financially, mentally, physically, just all together. We got to be prepared. And if we're not in that mindset now, when it does come, like you're saying, we're going to be really caught off guard.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And we really want you back, because, like I said in the beginning, I don't know where there's an echo, but like I was mentioning in the beginning, we just always wait till these really disastrous moments happen to start talking about when you should get prepared because, like you mentioned, or like Brother Tony mentioned too, like you don't know when it'll happen. We can be sitting here one time and a tornado could come and just in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, you may need to be out of your house,
Right.
in the car, heading
Sister
the other
Michelle,
way.
Sister Michelle, just a couple of years ago, when we were told to go into shelter in place, what were people doing? They were losing their minds, fighting
Right.
over toilet paper.
I
And
know.
I experienced it right in front of me at a
Yeah.
Family Dollar. And see, at that particular moment, see, we as members of the Nation of Islam, we are taught to diffuse situations. And then at that moment,
No.
when we're in the
What you did? What you did, Brother Tony? You ain't diffuse no
I was like
situation.
this.
You was
I
like,
was
wait,
Politician.
I'm sorry.
you was like exit stage right.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I warned. I said, my sister, my brother, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. They went crazy. I'm just gonna right exactly stage left. Now I understand absolutely.
Yeah,
For a period
because
of time, we're warning, and we're
right,
warning right now. Don't get caught in the mid. And
you know,
that's what
and you know the beautiful thing, and I want to also share this with you, an update about that theory of that bowl of bean soup theory.
Oh shit.
Minister, yeah, no, that Minister Ishmael said the time that we're living in now, we cannot afford to share bean soup. We
it's not
cannot
a
even
that time.
use that concept anymore because it's survival of the fittest and it's real.
Absolutely.
So when we
Absolutely.
could share that bowl of bean soup, now that's non and void. Now you have to find out to get your own bean soup. You have to be prepared to get your own bean soup. Because
Sister
you knock
Galila,
on my door and be like, hey, I
Yeah.
love you. I'm put you at the top of the list of the prayer.
That's
just
true. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
basic guidance on what to do.
Right.
And look, I'm gonna say this right here on social media. Do you know that many of us, as members of the Nation of Islam, when the pandemic hit and we had to close the mosques and many other institutions closed down, but when we closed, we started getting phone calls from people. Some of them inactive people, and now they were asking questions like, "Oh, what's happening? What's going on right now, my brother?" If you don't know,
You don't know.
I strongly suggest you get in touch with an officer in order to be informed. May Allah bless you.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
this is not a time for members of the Nation of Islam to be inactive. If you're
Right.
inactive, find out the way that you can be active right now and receive the guidance that you need because we're in a dark hour and it's about to get even darker. And darker.
Absolutely.
You have
And
been
to
Know
warned.
exactly how we must survive.
yes, we have gotten to that point though, because at a certain point, once the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan leaves, that's it. There's no, even like you said, with family, it's cool now. But if we've been warning you over and over and over again, and you haven't gotten what you needed, don't come find me because
Right.
yeah,
She said, "Don't come find me."
yeah, it's a real thing. We've been saying it over, but I think a lot of people think that, oh, I know Sister Michelle has it, or Brother Tony has it, Sister Galila has it. I'm gonna go to them, and even your own
Right.
family. And
Right.
that's
Oh
not
yes. It start with them. I'm talking to them.
our family.
I'm talking to them.
Absolutely.
So, beautiful show. Sister
Yes,
DeQuayla, do you have any closing remarks for our viewing audience?
Yes, ma'am. Well, first, I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for just his sacrifice, the dedication, and just, him still being present among us right now, just how hard he works. I'm so grateful and thankful to still be amongst his presence at this time. I thank, of course, our student regional minister, Abdul Sharif Muhammad, here in Atlanta, Georgia. I thank you all for the opportunity of allowing me to even be on the show. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to share this information with our people, and pray to Allah that you all allow me to come back again.
Yes, absolutely.
Of course.
And special shout out to Brother Richard out there, which he used to be in the 7th region, but now he's in Atlanta, married to you, Sister DeQuayla, awesome brother, and just very thankful to Allah for him. He did put in work here in the 7th region, and he puts in work for our nation, so we're very thankful to Allah for him. And
Yes,
so,
sir. Thank you so much. And my beautiful children. I'm grateful for them as
yes,
well.
ma'am.
So thank you so much, Brother Tony, for that.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to
Praises
Allah.
be to Allah.
Well,
It's full.
yeah,
Back to you, Sister Michelle.
I was gonna say, like, Max B, tune back in. So before we leave out, we want to, of course, always thank the audience for coming, but we also need your support. So I just want to make sure that Sister Kalila, that you bring up our little cash app sign, right? We want to ensure that we keep what we have going. We appreciate the support. We're very thankful that we're able to come to you every Thursday, and we're also thankful for the guests that we have on that are giving valuable information and to keep this going. It doesn't happen for free, but we do take donations, and we don't care what the monetary amount is. Of course, we would love, 5, 10, 15, 100, 1,000. It doesn't really matter to us, but we're just looking for that support to keep this what we have going. And I think what we have going is such a blessing, and we're so grateful to have what we have, and just the honor to be able to bring you information that really, truly you can use. This is not something that you can pass by. You can really use this information. So take this opportunity and help support us to continue to do what we do and bring you life changing, saving information that you can go back and you can listen to and you can share and you can continue to benefit from what we have already provided and given for your own benefit or for those that may benefit that are with you. So if anybody else wants to jump in, but I'm very thankful, and whatever can be given, we really, really appreciate and grateful for what you give. But again, we have so much information to give. We'll just keep giving, and we pray you keep giving as well.
Sister Michelle, I'm going to say to the audience, if you learn something of
Right.
great value here tonight, if you
Mhm.
learn something that you could put into practice to help save your life and save the lives of your family, or to ensure their safety, at least put 5 on it. Don't sing the rest of the song, but I got 5 on it. If you want to sing the song, that's
On the
on your.
7th Region Coalition. I
There
got
you go.
5.
Remix it. Remix it. That's right. At least put 5 on it so that we could continue providing this quality service and quality programming to you, the community, as we are focused through the help and guidance of our student regional minister, Student Minister Patrick Muhammad, here in the 7th region, to help save lives, whether we're in the 7th region or not in the 7th region of the Nation of Islam. We are here to meet our people wherever they are. See, we have Sister Dequela in the southern region. We're one nation. We pull and extract from everywhere that we are in our nation to help save lives. And so we thank your family for.
And thank Brother Patrick as well. I definitely want to thank the Regional Minister, Brother Patrick, as well. Thank you so much.
Praise be to Allah.
Don't forget to support our sister. Sister
Yes.
has her website. She has her products.
I just updated that information. .org.
It's coming back around. Look, it's right there.
And
on that website.
Right. And Sister Dequela, do you have a Cash App? Because we want to make sure we put that out there too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Come on now.
On my Cash App, Divine by Nature 1 with the Cash App sign.
There you go. There you go.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, sir. The Cash App sign, Divine by Nature 1.
So please support Sister Dequela as well. More she has, the more she can do. And that's what she's doing. She's helping. And there's not a lot of people out here that are doing what she's doing. And
right.
Not for money. She's doing it out of love, right? Because, when you're telling somebody how to save their lives, they're not doing it for money. They're doing it out of love, right? So let's keep that in mind. And so next Thursday, I believe that we will be here again at 7 p.m. waiting for you all to, of course, bring somebody with you, because this is not an alone thing. We want to bring somebody with you and come and hear what we have to say. Because as today and all the other Thursdays, you're getting something good, right?
Absolutely.
We're not playing with y'all. We're giving y'all life-saving information. So come join us.
And speaking of good, we just got our instructions for Savior's Day 2023.
Excited.
Woo! I'm so excited. I can't hide it. Listen, you can go and register right now for Savior's Day. You can also purchase your tickets for the Sunday lecture. The minister, they said, I'm just saying, I'm reporting the news, have some mind-blowing information that you must see in person. That's all I got to say.
Make your plans to be at Savior's Day. Go to noi.org, get the information. Look, there's limited seating, so you make sure that you get your registration and your seat for Sunday as soon as possible.
Okay, and by the way, you do not have to be in the Nation of Islam to come to Savior's Day.
No, this is
That's
not a
right.
nation. This is nation building, but not, you don't have to be a part of the Nation of Islam.
No,
That's
in
right.
fact, it gets us very excited for those that are not members of Nation of Islam to come and get that guidance yourself, because we love for our brothers and sisters what we love for ourselves. Come and get what you need to survive in this hour.
Awesome. All right, family, we're gonna take it out again. Thank you, Sister DeQuela. Thank you and your husband and your children and your family for allowing her to be on tonight. We really appreciate everybody that have learned something. Again, we're on YouTube, Facebook. Please like and share our information. And again, we'll see you next Thursday. Did I freeze?
No, you
froze just for a moment.
All right.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you.